Last night unfolded like a scene from a dramatic movie, one I never imagined starring in. I'd been with my boyfriend Ben for over 2 years, a relationship that, while not flawless, had always felt solid and full of promise. We'd weathered our share of challenges, but nothing had ever shaken us to the core until that fateful evening. It began innocently enough. After a grueling week of relentless work schedules, we'd made plans to meet at a bar. A casual spot we both loved, to unwind, reconnect, and enjoy a rare Friday night without the looming pressure of an early Saturday alarm. The idea was simple. Blow off some steam, share a few laughs, and head home together later. Since our shifts ran late, crashing at home beforehand wasn't an option, so we agreed to dive straight into the night. I arrived at the bar first, the hum of chatter and clinking glasses greeting me as I stepped inside. Ben was supposed to be just a few minutes behind, so I settled in, expecting his familiar figure to stroll through the door any moment. But as I glanced at my phone, a text popped up. He was stuck in traffic, running late, and apologetic. I didn't mind too much. Delays happen, and Ben was always the punctual type, so I knew it wasn't intentional. To pass the time, I wandered over to the counter, ordered a drink, and let the ambience of the place wash over me. That's when I felt it. A pair of eyes locked on me from across the room. It wasn't subtle, it was the kind of gaze that demands attention. I couldn't tell if it was admiration or something creepier, but in a crowded bar I brushed it off. No harm, no foul. Just as my drink arrived, sliding across the polished wood with a soft thud, the stranger made his move. He approached with a confident stride, reaching me right as I reached for my wallet. "Don't worry about it," he said smoothly, insisting on covering my tab. I smiled, thanked him, and took a sip. He complimented me, called me beautiful, and asked if I was alone. I told him I was waiting for someone, keeping it vague. There was no need to broadcast that it was my boyfriend. It didn't feel relevant. He grinned, asking if he could borrow my time until my mystery person showed up. I didn't see the harm. He seemed polite, attractive, and easygoing, so I agreed. His name was Eric, and what started as small talk quickly blossomed into something more. We clicked instantly, like two puzzle pieces snapping together. Our tastes, our humor, our energy, it was uncanny how alike we were. The conversation flowed as effortlessly as the drinks, and I found myself laughing more than I had all week. The bar grew livelier as the night wore on. Music pulsed through the air, the crowd thickened, and still no Ben. I wasn't worried though. I was enjoying myself, and Eric's company made the wait painless. At one point he asked for my number. I handed it over without a second thought. It felt natural, harmless, just part of the fun. Someone nearby even mistook us for a couple, which we both found hilarious, though it planted a tiny seed of curiosity in my mind. The energy shifted when the DJ cranked up the volume, spinning tracks that begged for movement. Eric extended his hand, his eyes sparkling with mischief. "Dance with me?" he asked. I hesitated for a split second. Ben hated dancing, especially in public, and I'd long accepted it wasn't something we'd share. But here was Eric offering something different. I chuckled, said sure, and let him lead me to the floor. We moved together seamlessly, our rhythms syncing like we'd rehearsed it. The music took over, a sultry beat that stirred something wild in me. Before I knew it, my hips were swaying, slow and deliberate, like waves lapping at the shore. Eric matched my energy, his hands brushing my waist, then drifting lower, my thighs, my hips pulling me closer. I wasn't dancing for him, not really. I was lost in the moment, letting my body move how it wanted. But he kept up, bold and unapologetic, and we became a spectacle, two strangers tangled in a dance that felt like it belonged in a steamy film. Then in a heartbeat everything shattered. Mid-spin my eyes caught Ben standing just inside the doorway. His face was a storm cloud, fury etched into every line. His fists clenched so tight I thought they might bleed. Time slowed, the room blurring as his gaze pierced through me. It wasn't just anger. It was heartbreak, raw and unfiltered, and it hit me like a freight train. Eric, oblivious to the shift, grabbed me again, whispering something playful about keeping the vibe alive. That's when Ben snapped. He charged across the bar, each step heavy with rage, and before I could react, his fist connected with Eric's jaw. Eric stumbled, crashing to the floor, and chaos erupted. Ben was on him in an instant, throwing punches with a ferocity I'd never seen. Eric fought back, blocking what he could, but Ben was relentless. I screamed, lunging to pull Ben off, but he shook me away, his voice booming over the noise. "Get off me!" It wasn't just loud, it was primal, terrifying. I froze, my heart pounding as strangers rushed in to pry them apart. Eric landed a weak counterpunch, but Ben's fury only grew. The bar's patrons finally dragged them apart, holding them back as they shouted curses at each other. Ben, as the aggressor, was escorted out, and I chased after him, my mind reeling. Outside, the air was thick with tension. Our argument exploded, words sharp as knives, slicing through 2 years of history. He called me disgusting, said he was ashamed of me. I fired back, furious and humiliated, telling him a real boyfriend would have pulled me aside, not started a brawl. I yelled that he'd left me waiting for half an hour, that I'd only been passing the time. He sneered, saying if I couldn't handle 30 minutes without offering myself to someone else, I wasn't worth his time or anyone's. The insults escalated, each one more vicious than the last. He called me dumb, shallow, a waste of his 2 years. I told him he was overreacting, that it was just a dance, not an affair. He laughed, a cold, bitter sound, and said I was a lowlife pretending to be something more. Then he walked away, ignoring my shouts, leaving me stranded in the dark, tears stinging my eyes. I stood there, reeling from his cruelty. It wasn't like I'd slept with Eric, it was a dance, a fleeting moment of fun. But Ben acted like I'd betrayed him beyond redemption. I couldn't fathom it. Was he really that rigid, that possessive? Eventually I went home, only to find the door locked. I knocked, called his name, pleaded. He wouldn't budge. After 15 minutes of begging, I gave up. With nowhere to go and my friend's place too far, I called Eric. It took some convincing. He was understandably wary after the fight, but he picked me up. At his place, I cleaned his busted lip and we talked. He asked why I hadn't mentioned Ben was my boyfriend. I said it hadn't seemed necessary, that I never expected this fallout. Eric was kind, saying Ben didn't deserve me, that locking me out proved it. As the night deepened, the mood softened. Music from his neighbor drifted in, and his voice, smooth and captivating, pulled me in. He leaned closer and we kissed. It was brief, a flicker of heat with some light touching, but my mind was elsewhere, wrestling with Ben's rejection. Before dawn, I slipped out, ignoring Eric's calls, and returned home. There I found my belongings stacked outside like trash. Ben emerged, cold and unyielding, saying the house was his since he paid the rent. I reminded him I'd offered to contribute, that it was our home too, but he dismissed me, laughing at my threats to sue. He called me a fanatic, said I wasn't worth his time, that last night revealed my true colors. I begged him not to throw away 2 years. He said it was nothing compared to the revelation I'd handed him. Then he drove off, leaving me stunned, sitting amid my scattered life. I couldn't believe he'd discard me so callously, without even asking where I'd been. I waited, hoping he'd return, but as night fell, he threatened to call the police if I didn't leave. Defeated, I went back to Eric's, only to find him with another girl, his girlfriend, who told me to get lost. With no options, I paid for a cheap room, my savings non-existent, my job barely covering basics. I lay awake, wondering if that dance had cost me everything, or if Ben had just been waiting for an excuse to cut me loose. Now I'm lost. Ben's selfishness stings. He humiliated me, abandoned me, all over a moment of harmless fun. Was I wrong to dance? Maybe. But his reaction was disproportionate, cruel. I can't forgive him, and I'm left picking up the pieces, wondering how a single night unraveled my entire world.